A very good morning to all of you. I am Pradeep Barbude, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Engineering. Before to start my presentation, I would like to thank Mrs. Rasika Chapli ma'am and Dr. Vijay Parate sir to giving me opportunity to this such a wonderful platform. Thank you ma'am. Thank you sir. So shall we start our presentation? Okay. Now, so today I will discuss about the topic that is FDI. So the meaning of FDI, that is a foreign direct investment in India. So the content of our today's topic are what is FDI, what are the difference between FDI and FPI, what are the history of FDI in India, then FDI in China. So then why we need a FDI in India, then the various routes of FDI in the country, various country, then the foreign investment, then FDI in retail sector, and last is the adverse effect of the FDI. So my first question is, what are the meaning of FDI in India? Means what is the FDI in India? That is a foreign direct investment in India. So basically the definition of FDI is a foreign direct investment is the investment made in a production or a business by the country in another country, either means of buying a company or expanding its business in the foreign country. It is usually mean by bonds and share, and generally FDI speaking refer to capital inflow from the abroad that invest the production of capacity and economy. So usually prepare over the other form of external finance because they are non-volatile with their returns depend on the performance of the project and finance investor. So FDI also facilitate the international trade and transfer knowledge just like a skill and technology, etc. So according to the Financial Times, the standard definition of control to use the internationally agrees of 10% threshold by voting this share. So basically the FDI is categorized into three parts, that is a horizontal FDI, platform FDI, and the last one thing is a vertical FDI. When the firm duplicates its home country based activity at the same value chain stage in a host country through the FDI. So this is the horizontal FDI. Now in a platform FDI, the foreign direct investment from the source country into a destination country for the purposing of the existing of third country. So this is the platform, and the vertical FDI takes place when a firm through the FDI move upstream or the downstream in the different value chain. That is the when the firm perform the value adding activity stage by stage in a vertical fashion in a host country. So this is the FDI. Now so in that FDI, the second slide goes to the what are the difference between FDI and FPI. So basically I will say in a FDI. Hello. So now the foreign direct investment, that is the FDI. So as the name suggests, first I will say in the FDI. As the name suggests, the investing directly in another country, a foreign company which is based in some other country like France. France invest in India either by setting up the wholly owned subsidiaries or getting a joint venture from the some of the company based in India and conduct the business in India. For example, the various software company like IBM, which is initially based in United States, and it has opened the subsidiaries in a different part of India. The another example for the Maruti Suzuki, Maruti is a Indian company, that is Maruti Private Maruti Udyog Limited, and the Japanese and the Suzuki is a Japanese company, and it has been a joint venture and connect the Maruti Suzuki. So in a FPI, the basic meaning of FPI is it is similar. So the meaning of FPI, that is, it is similar to FDI in a way that that is also direct investment, but investment only in a financial asset such as a stock, bond, etc. Of a company located to the another country. The example for the FPI are if a foreign company invests the share of Infosys, obviously it will be based in an Indian company. Now, so the difference are so basic difference are, so in a FDI, the investor invests the ownership right as well as the management right, but in a FPI, the investment in an investor has only a ownership right, not a management right. In a FDI, there is a decision making power, but in a FPI, there is not involved any decision making power. In a FDI, it enter the country with the long-term approach, but in a FPI, it will be enter in a long-term approach, but often have a short-term plans only. Now, in a FDI, so investor cannot depart from the country easily, but in FPI, investor can be depart from the country easily. So FDI is a long-term approach. That's why it will be invest as a more than 10%. But in a FPI, that is a investor can be invest their money below the 10%, means below the money of 10%. Now, next slide is on a history of FDI in India. So basically, the initial entry of the FDI, the initial entry of a FDI in India can be loosely considered from the times of establishment of East India Company of Britain during the era of 17th century, when British merchant approached the Mughal Sultanate for establishing factory in a Surat city of India. Along with them, the British through the Industrial Revolution to India to lead the development of transportation such as a railway and roadway and the communication system for their benefit. After the Second World War, the many Japanese company entered in the Indian market and enhanced their trade with the India. So after our independence, the policymaker of New India realized the need of a foreign investment for the development and design the FDI policy. Okay. So basically FDI was introduced in 1991 under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is the FEMA Act. That time of Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, it will be started the baseline business of rupees $1 billion in year 1990. So India considered is a second important destination for the investment, for the foreign investment, and the major sector that FDI attracts their service, telecommunication, construction activity, computer software and hardware. Okay. So in the year of 1997, it allowed the foreign direct investment in a cash and carry and wholesale. Then it required the government approval. But in the year of 2006, there are both approval are required, that is the automatic, and government also permitted permission will be granted in the year 2006. Now the next slide. Now next is why China is developing so rapidly. So basically, China is one of the developing country in the world, and it has a major shares of FDI for past 30 years. So China initially utilized the official borrowing from the World Bank, Asian Bank, and through the brilliant development of years. In the year of 1990, it started the FDI with a base of less than rupees 19 billion. And China major two-way of FDI was in the form of foreign solo internship and the joint venture. These are the main things to attract the investor, that is the foreign solo ownership and the joint venture. And the Chinese government passed the joint venture law in 1979, and it established the special economic zone in the 1980. So there are two laws in China, in that is the joint venture law and the special economic zone law. So where joint venture law is in the 1979 and the special economic zone is in the 1980. So the main role of FDI has been to involve in a production by means of foreign investment firm. It helped to develop the domestic industry of the capital and labor within the factory, then improve the quality of existing product. These are the main factors. So now, why the factor favor for the Chinese factor favor for the foreign investment market when the American and European country decide to invest their fund in developing country, mostly the Asian country. The China attracted the most with the factor. In general, China had huge manufacturing base which help to improve their market. And the major factor for to favor the China China for the FDI, that is a huge market. Second is the internationalization. Next is a competitive spirit. Next is a production cycle model. Next is a cheap and well educated labor. Next is the economy and government policy. So these are the main factors that attract the China. The other important factor that attract the China were the prefectional tax treatment, then the flexible contractual form, and establish the special economy zone, that is a SEZ, created by the Chinese government. So these are the main important factor that attract. That's why China is developing so rapidly. So now next is a broadly foreign direct investment include. There is a the major thing is a merger and acquisition. So the meaning of merger is a combination of two company to form a one, and while acquisition is a one company can taken over by the other. And the meaning of merger and acquisition is a one of the major aspect of corporate and finance world. The reason behind the merger and acquisition generally given is that to separate company together create the more value compared begin an individual stand. Okay. Now, so and the merger and acquisition can take place by purchasing asset. Number one, by purchasing asset. Number two, the by purchasing common share. Number three, by exchange the share for asset. Number four, that by exchanging share for share. So these are the main factor why for the merger and acquisition. Now, next is a building a new facility. So obviously, basically in a FDI there is a two type of field of investment are there. First is a groundfield investment, second is a greenfield investment, and second is a brownfield investment. So basically in a greenfield investment, when a company will build its own brand new facility to form in a ground up, and in a brownfield investment it happen only a company by purchasing the lease of existing facility. Now, the last is the reinvesting profit earned from the overseas operation for intra-company loans. So these are the three main factors for broadly foreign direct investment include. So my question is why we need a foreign investment? Why we need a foreign investment? Because of there is some points. First is a rising a level of investment. So the first is a rising a level of investment. The foreign investment can fill the gap between desired investment and only locally mobilized saving. Local capital market are often not well developed. So that's why we have to rising investment. Now, next is the upgradation and of technology. So obviously a foreign investment can supply the package of need resource such as a management experience, entrepreneurship ability, then organizational and technology skill, etc. Now the next is the exploitation of natural resources. A number of underdeveloped and underdeveloped country possesses the huge mineral resource await for the exploitation. Now next is the development of basic economy infrastructure. So where the underdeveloped and developing country require the huge capital investment for the development of basic economy structure as their domestic capital of often for to indicate. Now next is the improvement the export competitiveness. So in a foreign investment can help the host country improve the export of performance. It has a positive impact to the host country export the competitiveness of rising the level of efficiency and standard product of quality. So next is the improve in a balance of payment. So in case of adverse balance payment situation in the country, investment present a short-term solution for the problem. Next is the benefit to the consumer. So obviously the consumer is developing country stands to gain from the foreign investment through the new product and improve the quality of goods at competitive price. Next is the revenue of government. Obviously the profit generation by the foreign investment in a host country contribute the corporate tax and the revenue in the later. So these are the main factors. So कि why we need a foreign investment in India. Now, so now next is a route of FDI. So basically there are two routes of FDI. First is a automatic route and second is a government route. So as a name suggests, the automatic route, where no approval or authority is required by the private foreign investment. He can invest in any company and it wishes with no need of government approval. The second thing is the government route. So as name suggests, the government, obviously. So in this route, there is a no investment without the prior approval for the government of India. So in a foreign direct investment in India is not have a uniform rate. Some industry allow 100% FDI. Their entire fund of the business can be from the foreign direct investment, and the percentage vary for the 26%, 49, 51, 74, and so on. So my question is, what is automatic? What is the automatic route of FDI in India? So in a FDI, in a sector wise, okay, it has been permitted under the automatic route and does not require any prior approval either by the government of government or RBI. The investor are only required to notify the regional office concerned of RBI within the 30 days of receipt and invert the remittance of the file and required document with the office within the 30 days of issue shared by the foreign investment. So there is some condition to approve the automatic route by the RBI. The first condition, automatic approve within the period of 2 weeks only. There is a limitation, that is the period, that is 2 week only. And the foreign equity up to the foreign investment can be invest their money up to 24, 50, 51, 74 and 100%, depending on the category of the sector का means कैटेगरी मीन्स कंपनी की कैटेगरी वाइज हम क्या कर सकते हैं, एफडीआई को उस तरह से हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं, मीन्स परसेंट वाइज एफडीआई हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. नाउ द प्रोहिबिटेड सेक्टर इन FDI in India. So that is the first thing I will not show in a slide. That is the banking sector. Second is the automatic energy generation. Third is the any gambling or betting business. Next is the lottery, any type of lottery, just like a online, private, government, etc. Then investment of cheat fund. Then Nidhi company. Nidhi company is equivalent to the sanstha or any society. Then next is a agriculture and plantation activity, just like a horticulture, fishery, animal husbandry, etc. Next is a horizontal and housing and real estate business. Except the township and commercial project, because these are the huge product. So therefore, there is a huge money are required. That's why FDI allowed for the some percentage in the township and commercial project only. Next is the trading in TDRs, and last is one of the most thing, that is cigarette and any tobacco industries, because of these are the major factors that for the India. Now, so these are the area that FDI are not allowed for any route, means either automatic route or government route. Okay. Now, so now next is so this slide I will explain in very briefly. So that means foreign direct investment in retail sector. So basically, I will say again the definition for the FDI is a. So basically, FDI is an investment made in a production or a business for the country in another country by means of either buying a company or expanding a business in a foreign country, and it is usually means a bond and share only. So as for in a retail sector, there are two type of retail are there in India. First is a single brand retail trading, and the second one thing is a multi-brand retail trading. So so basically current now, so FDI up to 100% is now permitted in a single brand retailing. So फिलहाल अभी इंडिया में 100% हम परमिशन दे रहे हैं सिंगल ब्रांड प्रोडक्ट के लिए, FDI के लिए. नाउ एंड द 51% FDI is now permitted in a multi-brand retailing. So basically so I will show the timeline chart from the performing to carry out by the government open the market for the global player in the basically 1990s. Government introduced the free market and reform for the related for retail industry. मीन्स एक 1990 में हमने गवर्नमेंट में थोड़ा रिटेल इंडस्ट्री के लिए एफडीआई स्टार्ट किया था. But in a 1997, government allowed 100% FDI in a cash and carry wholesale in a government approval route. So in 1997 में सिर्फ कैश और कैरी अलाउ किया था, but 100% for the only a government route. ठीक है. But in the year of 2006, the automatic approval of FDI allow cash and carry. But 2006 के अनुसार हमने ऑटोमेटिक रूट भी अलाउ किया था. एंड दैट टाइम इन दैट टाइम द 51% अलाउ इन अ सिंगल ब्रांड रिटेलिंग, एंड इन दैट टाइम the multi-brand retailing are not allowed. Basically, I will say that there are two type of FDI. First is a single brand, and second one thing is a multi-brand. But in the year of 2006, there is only a single brand retailing, and that time only a 51% FDI allowed for the single brand retailing, and in that time the multi-brand retailing are not allowed. Now for any that is government also automatic approval only. Now, but in a 2012, that time of Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, there is 100% FDI allowed for the single brand retailing, and the 51% are allowed in a multi-brand retailing in a sector wise. So, and the current now for the COVID situation, there is some changes from temporary some changes. Now the next pie chart shows the sector wise. FDI. So basically, computer, software, and hardware. There is 10% of FDI there. In a construction side, that means the FDI allowed, that is 6% FDI are allowed. In a services, for any type of services, there is a 21% FDI are allowed. In a telecommunication service, there is a 7% FDI allowed. In a housing and real estate business, there is a 6% FDI allowed, and the other sector there is a 50% FDI allowed. So now, I will next slide shows the FDI in retail sector. So I will say the previous slide. In a retail sector, there are two type of FDI there. First is a single brand, and second is a multi-brand retailing. So in a single brand retailing, the outlet where a single product will be sold, means हम single brand retailing में सिर्फ उसका उसका आउटलेट सिंगल ब्रांड का ही रह सकता है, दूसरे ब्रांड का नहीं रह सकता है. मीन्स अगर रिबॉक का शोरूम है तो हम रिबॉक के ही एक्सपेंसेस उसमें सेल कर सकते हैं, अदर नहीं. ठीक है. बट इन अ मल्टी ब्रांड, द रिटेल आउटलेट वेयर ऑल द प्रोडक्ट आर अवेलेबल अंडर द वन रूफ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जस्ट लाइक अ बिग बाजार एंड रिलायंस हम दे सकते हैं. बिग बाजार और रिलायंस में हम बहुत सारे ब्रांड रहते हैं, उसमें हम कोई भी परचेस कर सकते हैं. सो दीज आर द वन ऑफ द एग्जाम्पल फॉर द single brand and multi brand. So now in a single brand retailing, so there is some condition for the single brand retailing. So I will show in the previous slide. There is 100% FDI in single brand market, but there is some condition. That condition are only single brand product would be sold. इस सिंगल ब्रांड मार्केटिंग में हम सिर्फ एक ही सिंगल ब्रांड के प्रोडक्ट सोल्ड कर सकते हैं. Then the product should be sold under the same brand internationally. Then the single brand retail would cover the product which are branded during the manufacturing. Then any addition to the product category to be sold under the single brand would required for the fresh approval from the government. The example for the single brand are Reebok and Liberty. These are the one of the example for the single brand. Now we jump on the multi-brand retail marketing. So obviously, in a marketing of similar and competitive product by the same firm under the different and unrelated brand. For example, Walmart is the one of the example for the multi-brand marketing. Until the year of 2011, the FDI in multi-branded was not allowed. मीन्स 2011 के पहले मल्टी ब्रांड मार्केट अलाउ नहीं था. However, in the late of 2011, the FDI was permitted by the government in a multi-brand market with the caps of 51% ownership. But अभी फिलहाल 51% ownership के साथ multiply allow है. But there is some condition include. The first is for the vegetable. The fresh agriculture produce include the fruit, vegetable, flower, grain, pulses, flesh poultry, fishery. They are the unbranded. Then minimum amount to be bought in a FDI by the foreign investment would be as a US $100 million. They are deposit the $100 million. Then at least 30% of procurement of manufactured processed product shall be sourced from the Indian small industry which have been total investment in a plant machinery and not exchanging of $1 million. Then retail sales location may be set up only in a city with the population of more than more than 10 lakhs. Also, I will say that also cover the area of 10 kilometer under the municipal corporation of any limit such as any cities. अगर जो बड़ी सिटी है उसके 10 किलोमीटर के अंदर में अगर उससे ज्यादा अगर दिखते हैं तो उसमें भी आप वॉलमार्ट एज ओपन कर सकते हैं. Now, this is the very important slide. ठीक है, that FDI in retail sector. What are the prospective benefit? So basically, there is some benefit which can be received as for the farmer and the Indian citizen. The first is the cold storage facility. Actually, the main motive of FDI is to provide more cold storage facility in India. This facility will help to store the excess food, harvest and release the same during the time of required. So this will help to balance the demand and supply function and also reduce the price gap. Next is the farmer benefit. Since the investor with the main manufacturer, they will have direct contract with the farmer and hence the chance of middleman, that is the dalal, is eliminated from the picture, and they will be the position to afford the proper margin to the farmer, who in turn will deliver the good on time. So that's why it is a win-win situation for the both parties, either the consumer and the farmer also. Next is the innovation and technology. So with the help of FDI, there are more chance of development of retail sector by means of introduction of new technology and innovation. The system will become more computerized and all information can view by everyone in the same time. Then the new electronics product and technology are available in a foreign country, which will be open to the home market too also. Thus the retail will have the access the new technology. Now last is the employment. Obviously in a retail sector, it expects the create more employment opportunity directly and indirectly also. Because of with the 50% of investment is back end the infrastructure like processing, manufacturing, distribution, then storage, then warehouses, then agriculture market. Okay? So there are the more chance of employment are creation. Now, so what are the scenario of FDI in retail for the farmer perspective? Basically India is one of the largest producer for the major crop like fresh vegetable, fruit, rice, wheat, and it rank among with the top 5 producer in the world. Also, India is also world's second highest populous country, and hence is the hence it has a many consumer. It is many customer are there. Okay. So below are the selling method adopted by the farmer for the selling produce, that are the farmer market. In this method, the farmer set up the small temporary stall to the market. Their produce like vegetable and fruit. The farmer is directly sell with the their product to the consumer. In that way, the both farmer and consumer are benefited, as the farmer get the desired price for the product without the middleman eating into their profit. Obviously हम दलाल उसमें से क्या करते हैं, अगर फार्मर डायरेक्टली हम कंज्यूमर को मार्केट नहीं सामान नहीं बेच सकते, तो बीच में दलाल रहता है, तो उसका जो मिडल मैन रहता है, जो खा लेता है, ठीक है, वो कम हो जाएगा. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज अ बल्क सेल टू ट्रेडर्स. The traders are the middleman and a wholesaler who buy the farm produce in a bulk from the farmer will resell to the other wholesaler, just like a export resale price, then and it will be the higher price. So this happen for the major crop like rice, wheat and production. This is a very large quantity and it will be independent on the crops for the session. Now next is selling to the government. Selling to the government, that is the Food Corporation of India. So basically, when the farmer gets the good harvest season, they're happening to get cut the short due to the plummeting of food for the price due to the supply of extending demand on the producer. There is a some MSP are there. First is a food spoilage due to the lack of proper storage facility. Second one thing is a lack of proper food packaging unit. Third one thing is a unorganized retailing method. Next is a insufficient supply chain management. So it is observed that almost 1/3 of the farm produce does not reach to the consumer due to inefficiency of existing supply chain system. So in this tradition method of transporting, the producer can sell to the counter, the food travel to the solo chain for the local traders, that is middleman, so finally to the reach to the consumer. That's why we are some reducer. Now next slide goes with the what are the reality and myth from the what are the myth and reality from the FDI. So the myth are kirana and retailers will lose, but the reality are there is an the retailer will the benefit from the existing policy of sourcing their requirement from the wholesaler for the cash carry store at the discount. So in the countries such as China, Thailand, Brazil, Indonesia, Singapore, Argentina, so there is a no cops of FDI. So that's why we don't have any problem about the Kiran retail. So that will be low. Second one thing is the retail sector will be control their foreign store, but reality are the FDI back-end stores can only operate in a city, and everyone state has the freedom to allow the allow or disallow the FDI back the retail investment also. Then the third myth are the FDI in multi-brand retail are many result in the job losses, but reality are contrary to the mistaken belief. The FDI in multi-brand retailer will generate the new employment opportunity, resulting for the 1 crore of new job. So I will show in last slide. Next myth are the farmer will exploit it and the loss their field and the crops of foreign investment. The reality are on the contrary, the farmer will receive the better remuneration for their produce, and it will be benefit to the addition job or opportunity for resulting the overall improvement, and it will be lost their middleman just like a dalal. So that's why these are the some myths and reality of their side. Now now next is what are the weakness and threat for the FDI in the retail sector. So basically I will say that the one of the greatest barrier to growth for the modern retail format are supply chain management issue. Actually the supply chain for the staple is less complicated than the net grocery, but staple have the unique problem for non-standardization. So that problem are difficult to target of all segments society. Then next the emergence of hyper and supermarket trying to provide the customer with the value, variety and value. Then next is a heavy initial investment is required to break even with other companies and compete with them. Next is a labor rules and regulation are also not follow for in the organization detail. Next is the lack of uniform tax system for organized retail is also one of the obstacle. So indicate the infrastructure is likely to be the obstacle for the growth of organized in a retail. Now, so next is the government has decided 51% FDI in multi-brand. So what are so my question is, what are the precondition, what are the present condition, and why we need a foreign investment? The precondition are for the 51 in a multi-brand market are The minimum investment is 100 million. So I will say in the last two slide also. Then 50% of investment is to be back-end infrastructure development. Then 30% of raw material has been produced from India, small, medium and industry. Then permission to set up malls only in a city with minimum population of 10 lakhs. Then government has the first right to produce material from the farmer. Then product should be sold under the same brand internationally. Then foreign investment should be the owner to the brand. What are the present condition now? The farmer get only 10 to 15% of their price we pay. Then 3 to 4 middlemen in between the farmer and customer, obviously. Then the huge post losses for the farmer due to the inadequate facility. Then the poor management food supply infrastructure are. Then why we need a foreign investment? Because we are the second highest producer for the fruit and vegetable in the world, but still we are not able to utilize the properly because of inadequate infrastructure facility. It will reduce the pre-harvest wastage and thus the help control the food inflation. It will create 1.5 million job with the last 5 years. Apart from the huge number of indirect employment, it will increase the competition, which always beneficial to the customer. It will remove the middleman from the equation. It will reduce the cost of which turn will be reduce the price also. Now, so my question is, what about the problem in FDI in retail sector? Basically, they will have been the knowledge capital, which are very important for developing country like India. So actually, there is a no problem. There is a no problem because we have already local player like Reliance Fresh, Big Bazaar, Reliance Fresh, Big Bazaar. They have done wonderful well, and the local traders are still trading as they are where. Why not allow the foreign players also? Then second thing is China, Brazil, Argentina, Singapore, Thailand, Russia, Indonesia are allowed 100%, and their economy have been benefited from this move. So India only a 51%. So that's a lot of check, and in that way there is a various lot of check. So we don't have a worry about the monopoly because the competition of Commission of India can handle all the anti-competitive practice, include the predatory prices. So in India, cities with the population more than 10 lakhs, but only as 15.3 number. This means that the negative impact will not have the huge huge need because the Kirana Walas has the majority in the city. That's why it will decrease the unorganized labor sector and bring them under the organized labor. Because this will be easier enforce labor law. Now, next is it is true that the government can also provide the all infrastructure facility. That is, uh, that is. So, thus we can FDI rules greater than the society oppose their own risks. Now, what are the adverse effect of FDI? So basically, when the foreign investment compete with home investment, profit in domestic industry fall, leading the fall of domestic saving. Then the foreign firm may be influence the political decision in a developing country. Then the cost of foreign capital for the host country rate the very high. Then the contribution of the foreign firm to public revenue through the corporate tax and comparative less. So these are the some adverse effects. Now next is the references. These are the references in the where there is the various books, journals, and article are there. Huh. So thank you. So after so now I will show the now we are conclude the topic we are study what is FDI? So what are the difference in FDI and FPI? What are the history of FDI in India, FDI in China, why we need an investment, what are the different routes in FDI, what are the FDI in retail sector, what are the effect. So this will be, I'll discuss in this slide. So so this is the basic content why we need FDI in India.
Thank you, sir.
So is it any question? What is the first ever in FDI in India? So basically in 1991 under the foreign exchange management, so basically FDI start in 1991. That time of foreign minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. So FDI start in 1991. Okay. So thank you so much.